Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. It's good to be with you today. Here we are at the beginning of another week, and I hope you're looking forward to what God might do in your life this week. I also hope that perhaps you can remember some of the things He's already done, because it's always a time for God to work in our lives. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I know you don't have to do that. And I appreciate your encouragement and your notes that send my way occasionally. And I hope that I can be a blessing to you today. This morning I'd like to share a verse from 2 Chronicles chapter 16 and verse 9. But before I read the verse, I want to give a little context here. As you probably know, or maybe you don't, in the Old Testament, Israel was constantly at war with somebody. It seems like when they got out of one war, they started another one. And it's just a repetitive cycle over and over and over again. And that's what this verse is given in the midst of. In this case, the king Asa, who was a righteous king. He did a lot of really good things. And he reigned a long time, nearly 40 years. And he was a very studious king of the Lord, at least most of the time. Now, towards the end of his life, he makes a pact with a non-Jewish king, and things go downhill from there. So that's the context in which we find this verse. 2 Chronicles chapter 16 and verse 9. The eyes of the Lord search the whole earth in order to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to Him. Well, the eyes of the Lord search the world. That's an interesting thought. Sometimes we think kind of small. We think of our place, our neighborhood, our town, our city, maybe even our state. And if we get really big, we think of our country. But God's bigger than all that. It says He searches the world. There are Christians all over this globe. I think 2 billion or so. They're found in almost every country. They worship in many, many ways. They have different customs and cultures. But they're all focused on one thing. And that's the superiority of the resurrected Jesus. And God looks at all people. Anybody qualifies. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be a goody-goody. It says He searches the whole world. So He searches our little part of it as well. And it says that He searches the world in order to. See, there's a purpose here. He's not just arbitrarily looking around. He's not sightseeing. You know, my wife and I like to take our Miata out. We have a 1994 Miata. It's got 80,000 miles on it. And it's little, very little. In fact, it's a little hard getting in and out, at least for me. And I'm not so little, I guess. But we like to take it out and just sightsee. We like to look around and see the territory where we're driving. And when you don't have a top on a car, if you've never had a convertible, you got a really expansive view. But God's not just sightseeing. He's not just looking out to take a look at the territory. He's actually looking for a purpose. And it says He looks in order to strengthen, not find, strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to Him. You see, we're not in this life alone. Whether we recognize it or know it or not, we're not by ourselves. We're not somehow going through life on the basis of our own power. Now, when things are going really good, that's not too hard to do. And many of us have some really, really good days. I think most people have some really, really good days. Then we have some average days. It's not really good, it's not really bad. We just sort of plow through it, do what we always do, and the next day we start over. And some people have some really, really lousy days. Now, maybe it's their own fault in the sense that they ate terribly and now their heart has problems. Or they don't pay attention to their weight and they're diabetic and now they're having difficulties from that. But sometimes, most of the time, those hard days just hit us unexpectedly, and then we have to figure out what to do. Well, in those moments, this passage is really important because it says that God searches the world in order to strengthen those whose hearts are committed to Him. When we invite the Lord into our lives, however we do it, there's no one formula. I know some groups say you have to pray this prayer, you have to do this thing. When I became a Christian, I was sitting in the back of a church. I don't know what happened. I really don't. I just knew that I felt the overwhelming presence of the Lord as I never had before. And after that moment, my life changed. Now, if I'd had to do something in front of somebody, I never would have become a Christian. I was nervous. I wasn't going to get up front or come down front and say this or say that. I didn't know anybody in that church, as I recall. I wouldn't have been able to do that for all the money in the world. But you see, it didn't matter. What mattered was that I gave my heart to the Lord. And the same is still true today. It doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter where you do it. Doesn't matter when you do it. What matters is if you do it. And when you do that, wherever you are, here, near, far, in a fog, in a ditch stuck, wherever you are, God is looking to find ways to strengthen your life and to make your experience in this world even better. Now, maybe the hard times that come aren't going to go away right away. Maybe they never go away, but it won't matter as much because the Lord's presence will strengthen you to get through whatever you come up against. It was true back in the days of Asa. It's true still today. So I hope you'll think about that. Hope you'll take a little while, look at your life, see just where you stand compared to this verse. Well, thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a great week. If you have a need or a prayer concern, let us know. We'll do anything we can and everything we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your need. So until we come back again, God bless you. You take care. I'll talk to you again.